The Bible has a lot to say about destruction. And I want to read this. It's been read many times. I think it's very timely for today. 1 Thessalonians 5:3. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as a travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. You know, when I read that today, you know what comes into my mind? Donald Trump's peace board, the board of peace. For when they shall say sudden destruction, when they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction cometh upon them as a travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. I wonder if anyone has read that to Donald Trump since he erected his so-called board of peace. You know, look what Donald Trump's facing right now. The terror, the unbelievable terror of a country that refuses to succumb to his. He wrote a book, The Art of the Deal. Kind of destroyed his credibility on the art of the deal, didn't it? Kind of destroyed it. Well, destruction is mentioned 94 times in the Bible. But there's a little bit of a theme that goes with destruction. And oftentimes destruction comes when it's least expected. When it's least expected. I'm going to have Mark read probably about 30 of these scriptures that have to do with destruction, and then I may make some further comments about it. But so much for Donald Trump and his board of peace. That's all I've got to say, on that.
First Thessalonians 5:3. For when they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Jeremiah 4:20. Destruction upon destruction is cried, for the whole land is spoiled. Suddenly are my tents spoiled, my curtains in a moment. Proverbs 3:25. Be not afraid of sudden fear, neither the desolation of the wicked when it cometh. Job 22:10. Therefore snares are round about thee, and sudden fear troubleth thee. Psalms 35:8. Let destruction come upon him at unawares. His net that he had hid catch himself into that very destruction. Let him fall. Romans 3:16. Destruction and misery are in their ways. Jeremiah 50:22. A sound of battles in the land of great destruction. Job 26:6. Hell is naked before him, destruction hath no covering. Psalms 93. Thou turnest man to destruction, and sayest, return, ye children of men. Jeremiah 48:3. A voice of crying shall be from Hornaim, spoiling and great destruction. Job 28:22. Destruction and death say, we have heard the fame thereof with our ears. Job 31:12. For it is a fire that consumeth to destruction, would root out all mine increase. Job 31:23. Destruction from God was a terror to me, and by reason of his highness I could not endure. Proverbs 16:18. Pride goeth before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Psalms 88:11. Shall thy loving kindness be declared in the grave, thy faithfulness in destruction. Lamentation 3:47. Fear and a snare has come upon us, desolation and destruction. Proverbs 21:15. It is joy of the just to do judgment, but destruction shall be the workers of iniquity. Job 31:3. Is not destruction of the wicked, and a strange punishment of the workers of iniquity. Proverbs 24:2. For their heart studieth destruction, their lips talk of mischief. Isaiah 24:12. And the city is left desolation, the gate is smitten with destruction. Proverbs 18:12. Before destruction, the heart of man is hiding before honors humility.
Thank you, Mark. You know, one of the things that's real prevalent about destruction, there seems to be a commonality. But destruction is also the aspect of pride. I've commented to my wife several times how that the thing that amazes me about Donald Trump is that he is so cocky. You know, he brags about being the smartest president and having the highest IQ, and how that he's the best president that's ever been, even greater than Washington and Lincoln. How he is so cocky, so proud, you know. And pride cometh before a fall, the Bible tells us. Doesn't he say that? Proverbs 16:18, pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Remember how Trump used to mock Joe Biden because of his poor health? He called him Sleepy Joe Biden. Well, now we got Sleepy Donald Trump, don't we? I mean, he's failing just like Joe Biden was failing. Well, you know, and then Donald Trump gets on there and talks about he's going to destroy a whole civilization. Is that the goal of the United States, to destroy a civilization? To destroy people that have nothing to do with the war? Proverbs 24:2 says, their heart studieth destruction, and their lips talk of mischief. That sounds like Donald Trump, doesn't it? And you'll say, oh, Larry's turned Democrat. No, I'm not Democrat. And I was not a supporter of Joe Biden. And I'm not a left-winger, okay? But when you've got a guy getting up and bragging about how he's going to destroy a whole civilization in 20 minutes, there's something wrong with that. You know? When you got a person that gets up and talks about how he's going to do this and how he's going to do that, and DJT, Donald J. Trump, Proverbs 31:8, open thy mouth for the dumb, and the cause of all such are appointed to destruction. Well, you know what? I'm not a prophet or anything else, but that first verse that we read, I remember I was watching when Donald Trump had his main meeting of his Board of Peace, and I just shook my head. And 1 Thessalonians 5:3 came to me when I was watching him bragging about his Board of Peace and how it was going to be like replacement of the United Nations. 1 Thessalonians 5:3, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh on them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. That should give us something to think about, shouldn't it? We should be praying that God would open the eyes of our leaders and that they would seek the face of God. May the good Lord be with you tonight in a special way is my prayer. God bless.